Hello everyone, welcome back. So let's continue with question 125. As a result of pathological process, the function of efferent part of the central link of vegetative nervous system and the sympathetic department was affected and point out the possible localization of the process in the spinal cord. So the vegetative or the autonomic nervous system is composed of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic system, the neurons of the sympathetic nervous system are present in the lateral horn of spinal cord at vertebra level C8 to L2. That is all the lower C8, all the thoracic and the upper lumbar vertebra. And the parasympathetic nervous system, the neurons are present in the sacral 2 to sacral 4 and also cranial nerve number 3, 7, 9 and 10. So this is the basic localization of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So this is the normal diagram of the spinal cord. You can see it has a white matter and has a gray matter. If you remember, that gray matter is basically collection of neuronal bodies. So in spinal cord, the gray matter is present like an edge shape. It has a posterior or dorsal horn, and anterior or ventral horn, and also a lateral horn. But this lateral horn is present only at these places. That is C8 thoracic, all thoracic and upper lumbar, and some sacral vertebra. So let's also write it down. The spinal cord has a posterior or a dorsal horn, anterior or ventral horn, and also a lateral horn. So all those neuron bodies that are present in the posterior or the dorsal horn are basically part of the sensory pathway. So all those neurons which are present in the posterior horn are basically sensory, and all those neurons which are present in the anterior or the ventral horn, like here, they are motor neurons. And the neurons which are present in the lateral horn will be vegetative. That is, they will be supplying to the visceral organs. So let's also look at the main nucleus that are present in this gray matter. And I told you that all the nucleus which are present, or the neurons which are present in the posterior or dorsal horn, are sensory. So all these nucleus, they are basically of the sensory pathway. And all the nucleus which are present in the anterior horn are basically nucleus of the motor neurons. And here somewhere, it is not shown in this picture, will be the lateral horn, and that will be for the sympathetic pathway. So again, let's first start with the anterior horn. It has two main lateral motor neurons and medial motor neurons. The lateral motor neurons are for trunk and limbs, and the medial motor neuron are for the deep muscles of the back. And from the nucleus of present in the posterior horn, main is the dorsal nucleus of Clark, which is also called the posterior thoracic nucleus. And I told you it was a part of sensory pathway, so it was responsible for the unconscious proprioception, that is the dorsal spinocerebellar tract, and the nucleus proprius, it was responsible for receiving pain and temperature sensation, that is from the spinothalamic tract. So these are the main nucleus of the posterior horn. These are of the anterior horn and the intermediolateral nucleus. So you can see in this picture they are shown two, the intermediolateral and the intermediomedial nucleus. So the intermediolateral nucleus, is for the preganglionic fibers. But it can be of the sympathetic as well as parasympathetic. If it is sympathetic, it will be present in C8 to L2 vertebra, and if it is of parasympathetic, it will be present in S2 to S4 vertebra. And the medial intermediate nucleus of lateral horn, it is basically for the spinocerebellar pathway. And I already told that dorsal nucleus of the posterior horn head or the dorsal nucleus of Clark, it is for the dorsal spinocerebellar tract, and the proper nucleus or the nucleus proprius is for the spinothalamic tract. So anyways, just remember, posterior or the dorsal horn is for sensory, and anterior or ventral horn is for the motor pathway. And the lateral horn is for both sympathetic and parasympathetic. It depends on about which vertebra they are talking about. And in this question, they were simply saying that sympathetic pathway, location of the sympathetic pathway. So that was lateral intermediate nucleus of the lateral horn. So let's look at this question. Spinal cord contains a nucleus that should be analyzed. Its neurons form the motor endings in the skeletal muscles. What nucleus of spinal cord is meant? So I told you motor, anterior or ventral horn. So anterior horn, posterior horn is for sensory. Proper nucleus of gray substance, they haven't mentioned which horn, so obviously this will not be the answer. Intermediate lateral nucleus is we have already talked about it, that is for the sympathetic nervous system. And thoracic nucleus or the dorsal nucleus of Clark is for the spinocerebellar pathway. So the answer will be what? The proper nucleus of the anterior horn. So let's move on to the next question. A patient appealed to a doctor with complaints of impossibility to abduce or abduction the right hand after a trauma. The examination has shown that passive movements are not limited and the deltoid muscle atrophy has been detected. So if you have watched my previous video, I'll provide the link in the description box. I've talked about this brachial plexus more deeply. So the answer is axillary nerve. Axillary nerve supplies two muscles, that is the deltoid and the teres minor. And deltoid, as you know, is for the abduction of the arm. And next question, as a result of traffic accident, a victim sustained an injury of the spinal column. Examination has shown the right-sided paralysis of the lower extremity with muscle tone is increased. So again, I would suggest you to watch my previous video. I have talked about this in more detail in that video. So when the muscle tone is I'll give you a quick review. That is, the descending pathway consists of two neurons, an upper motor neuron and a lower motor neuron. So the lower motor neuron has ability to stimulate the muscles, and upper motor neuron basically inhibits these lower motor neuron. And if there's damage to the upper motor neuron, the lower motor neuron cannot be inhibited and it will fire continuously. So all the reflexes will be increased or the muscle tone will be increased. So here the keyword is increase. So from here you can make out that there is a lesion in the upper motor neuron tract, and the upper motor neuron tract or the pyramidal or the corticospinal tract. And why is it right-sided? For that, just see where there is decussation. If the damage is below the level of decussation, it will be the paralysis or the problem will be on the same side. If the lesion or damage is above where the tracts decussate, then it will be on the contralateral side. So they have already mentioned that the injury is to the spinal column, and you know that corticospinal tract decussate in the medulla oblongata, like at the junction of medulla oblongata and spinal cord. So and there's also right-sided paralysis. So the problem is in the right corticospinal tract. So an anterior horn of spinal cord, it is a lower motor neuron injury. In this, the muscle tone will be decreased and not increased. Posterior horn, it is for the sensory. I already talked. Anterior funiculus of spinal cord is also sensory, and the medulla oblongata is just non-specific answer. So here the answer is what? The right corticospinal tract. Again, please watch my previous video. The link will be in the description box. Let's move on to the next question. Examination of patient with a cut wound in inferior third of right leg anterior area has shown the absence of extension movements in the right ankle joint. Muscles are not injured. Which nerve integrity has been affected? So first of all, it's very confusing about the movements of the leg. In upper arm, upper limb, it's very easy. That is the flexion is all the muscles or all the flexors are present in the anterior compartment of either of arm or of forearm or in the hand. All the flexors are present on the anterior side of the hand, and all the extensors are present on the posterior side of upper limb. But in case of lower limb, it is the opposite. That is, all the extensors are present on the anterior surface or on the anterior side of the leg, and all the flexors are present on the posterior side of the leg. So here they are saying that the extension is not possible. So extension means when these muscles will contract, there will be movement of foot at the ankle joint like above, which is also called as dorsiflexion. So the extension of foot is called dorsiflexion, and the flexion of foot is called plantar flexion. So again, I told you extensors are present here. This is the dorsum, and if there's a dorsiflexion, that is movement upwards, then it will be called the extension of foot. And if these muscles contract, that is the flexors, so the movement of foot will be downwards. So that is called plantar flexion. So here they're asking about the extension of movements. So let's look at the nerves now. So again, like in the previous video, this is a list of common nerves of the lower limb. The superior gluteal, inferior gluteal, sciatic. The most important one is the sciatic nerve, and it's the branches, the tibial, common fibular, superficial fibular, deep fibular. So I've already mentioned here that the okay, so leg has a so leg has an anterior compartment, a lateral compartment, and a posterior compartment. And I already told you that the muscles in the posterior leg are for the flexion, and those in the lateral leg are for eversion. Eversion means when you lift only the outer edge of only the outer edge of foot, that is called eversion, and when you lift the inner edge of foot, that is called inversion. So the deep fibular nerve, which supplies to the muscles of the anterior leg, and that is for the dorsiflexion. So you can write it here as well. in question it was written what? The extension movements. I told you extension means dorsiflexion, and the nerve for dorsiflexion was the deep fibular nerve. So deep fibula for the anterior muscles are for the extension. Superficial fibula, it supplies to the muscles of the lateral compartment, that is for the eversion of foot only. And then tibial nerve, it supplies to the muscles of the posterior compartment of leg, and that is responsible for the flexion of foot. In other words, plantar flexion of foot, and also inversion. So let's also look at some other questions from the ministry book that are related to this topic. That is question number 14. During a game, basketball player injured his right leg, in consequence of which he couldn't bend the right foot. A doctor detected that tendons were injured. The tendon of what muscle was injured? So the bend, basically he wants to say that he cannot perform this movement, that is bending of foot. So bending of foot means flexion or the plantar flexion, and here again the plantar flexion was because of the tibial nerve. But here they are not asking about the nerve, they are asking about the muscles. So muscles have already so in that question, they're actually asking about the muscles. The muscles have already written in this list. You can see, you can learn. But why I'm telling you right now, but why I'm stressing on this question, because they can change the question. Like in this question, they could have asked which muscle, which nerve is damaged, instead of which muscle was damaged. So, but still, nevertheless, let's do this question. So the answer here is triceps surae. The triceps surae basically, triceps means 3 heads. So basically it means 2 heads of gastrocnemius muscle plus 1 head of the soleus muscle. These are present in the posterior compartment of leg, and and these muscles are innervated by the tibial nerve. So in this question, if they would have asked nerve, then the answer would be tibial. But right now the answer is triceps surae. So let's look at the next question. In the left foot plantar region, the patient has problem in lifting the lateral border of the foot, means he has difficulty in eversion of foot. So eversion of foot, you can remember like this. I told you that this movement, lateral border, was lifting the lateral border of foot was eversion. So who can evert the foot? Obviously the muscles which are present in the lateral surface of the leg. So in lateral surface of leg, the muscles are present are peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. Again, rather than asking you the muscle, if they would have mentioned nerve, then the answer would be the superficial fibular nerve. So next question, this is also similar to the previous one, that is he can't lift the lateral border of the foot. So again the answer is peroneus longus, and if they would have asked the nerve, then it will be the superficial fibular nerve. So anyways, let's look at another interesting question, that is patient has skin sensitivity loss of the middle and the inferior third of posterior region of leg. On the right, which nerve is damaged? So the answer is sural. What is sural nerve? I have written in this list. See here. Sural nerve, it is formed from the sensory branches from both tibial nerve and common fibular nerve. So the sensory branches from common fibular and the tibial nerve, they join to form the sural nerve, and it supplies to the posterolateral leg. You can see in this picture, this is a sural nerve that it supplies to the posterior, maybe a little more area, posterolateral, lateral side, posterolateral area of leg. So yeah, practice all the muscles, all the nerves, remember all the nerves which supply to which muscle, and most importantly, those muscles have what function. So you can directly correlate the nerve to the action, and not just ki deep fibular nerve or superficial fibular nerve supplies to the peroneus longus. As so the function of peroneus longus is eversion of foot. Just simply remember superficial fibular nerve is for eversion. It will be more easier for you. So that's it for this video. Thank you.